Welcome back, everyone. These horrid temperatures have me feeling a little bit under the weather, but just bear with us and as we press on and get excited because it's Tailgaters time.
That's right, it's the most exciting time of the year, and we have a jam-packed episode for you today. We're going to be talking about where we think top free agent quarterbacks are going to go, our expectations with Zion Williamson, and the MLB just released a new playoff format that could go in effect by 2022, and we have some thoughts on that.
Well, I actually thought we were going to start with Zion.
Yeah, we can.
Let's go with Zion.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. We'll save the format stuff for the end of the show. So Zion Williamson finally back playing. We were having this conversation before the show. ESPN putting up a graphic, already having Hall of Fame question mark as an example of these super hyped expectations that people have for him. But he has not seemed to stay healthy. So Marcus, even though he's had these 10 good games since he's been back, do you think he'll live up to become the next LeBron?
If you're going to compare him to LeBron in his first 10 games, he can't live up to that. The same way everyone assumed LeBron would be the next MJ, LeBron has lived up to that fairly well, but LeBron has cemented himself as LeBron James and not some guy chasing Michael Jordan's shadow. And I don't think it'd be fair for Zion, who's built very differently than LeBron, who has a pretty different skill set than LeBron does, to try to emulate being LeBron James at this point. Zion should focus on what Zion does well, getting rebounds, hustle plays, finishing around the rim, and developing his shooting. He's been a pretty good three-point shooter so far, and that will get better as he gets older and works on it. I think for now, Zion should just focus on being Zion.
Yeah, that's a great point. Zion focus on being Zion. It's a good message that I think should be told a lot more. But I disagree a little bit as far as like comparisons to LeBron. I think he does. Obviously, he's bigger than LeBron, but LeBron, he weighs more than, I think he came into the league weighing more than any single player in the league, including all these 7-footers, which LeBron is also a big guy. I think their frame is pretty similar, just Zion's a little bit bigger. They both come out with these extreme plays, these highlight reel dunks. And like you said, Zion's been shooting the three ball really, really well these first 10 games he's been back. And that's something LeBron really worked on in his early game. The three-point was not his kind of style, and he was like, you know what, modern NBA, I got to do that. And that's kind of what Zion's doing at even an earlier age. And I really like to see that, but I still think people got to temper their expectations. Zion seems like a really good competitor. I don't think it's going to get to him, but that's something. You keep telling a guy, you're going to be the best player in the league. You're going to be you're going to be the next LeBron James. He gets hurt. Oh my gosh, Zion's a bust. Zion's a bust. Like, that's something you saw. Like, that has to do something to a guy. And I'm like glad his 3 games coming along. Glad he's done good in these first 10 games. But we just need to temper a little bit.
No, yeah, definitely.
Still think he's going to be great. People should be giving more attention to Ja Morant. He's been amazing, absolutely amazing this year. He's a guard shooting right about 50%, which is good for a forward, and he's a guard, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. We'll take a short break. After this, we'll be discussing top free agent quarterbacks of the NFL offseason.
Welcome back to the show, and we will get right into it. And we'll start with you, Marcus. Who is your top free agent quarterback that's going to be changing jerseys this year?
I think Cam Newton, it makes the most sense for him to sign with the Chicago Bears.
Ooh, good pick.
He's a dual-threat quarterback. I think the Bears could use something a little bit better than Trubisky. I don't think Trubisky's the answer. I don't think he ever was the answer. He had a good season at UNC and then managed to flip that into a top 5 draft selection somehow. And he clearly hasn't lived up to the franchise quarterback everyone thought he was going to be. But I think Cam Newton, given the right system, and I think the Bears could be the right system for him to really stay healthy and be a dominant quarterback once again.
Yeah, I do think I like that pick a lot. Cam to the Bears. I think people are crazy with Cam Newton. Like, oh, he's done. But like, he is a great quarterback even now. I think if he's healthy. But one thing with Trubisky, I honestly think people have been. Obviously, I didn't watch every Chicago Bears game. I know it got pretty bad. But he had a really, really good 2018 season. Followed it up with a really bad 2019 season. Give him some time. The Bears if Trubisky had played to the level he did in 2018, this year Bears I still don't think they're winning the Super Bowl. I don't think they really lost out on a Super Bowl because Trubisky had a bad year. Now if he has 2 more bad years, yeah. And Cam Newton, I like that pick. Have him there in case Trubisky keeps underperforming. But I have these big-name quarterbacks I believe will stay. Ryan Tannehill, Drew Brees, Dak Prescott, and Jameis Winston, who just got some eye surgery. LASIK eye surgery. So maybe he'll stop throwing 30 picks. Who knows?
He won't have the 30-30 vision after this.
Yeah, I still don't understand that. Like, your eyes just now need to be fixed. They didn't need to be fixed in college or...
Now, there's a lot of photographic evidence of him squinting all the time.
Then what coach... We're getting off topic, but then what coach, like, why was no one like, oh, maybe you should get eye surgery? Like, no one was, even Jameis Winston was like, oh, I can't see my receiver. Maybe I should do something about this.
I think he could. I think he's just not a good decision maker.
That's kind of what I was getting at. But my, what I think could happen is Teddy Bridgewater to Carolina after Cam Newton. Everyone expects him to leave. It's a really good system. They already have had a running quarterback in that system for years, so they already kind of have that set in place. And they just had too many turnovers last year. And Teddy Bridgewater kept control of the ball with New Orleans. That's why they're able to win 5 games. New Orleans had a really good team, and Bridgewater didn't lose it for him. He didn't turn it over. He had 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, I think, 1 or 2. It was really low. So he keeps hold of the ball. In run-past option with Christian McCaffrey, that could be I'd be really excited to see that. And Bridgewater didn't show a ton of signs of his injury when he was at New Orleans. He looked fresh, he looked accurate, and I think he could be a top 15, top 10 quarterback in the league next year. So we'll see what happens with that. But everyone's talking about Tom Brady. Where do you have him at?
I don't think he leaves. I think all of this is him just trying to get more money from the Patriots. He knows his time's almost up, and now he kind of wants a bigger paycheck because his entire career with the Patriots, he's been taking pay cut after pay cut, and now he's like, no, it's finally time I get mine.
Yeah, I agree. This was definitely planned by Brady because his contract had some weird structure. I don't know all the nuances of it, but something where he could like void this year and become a free agent. And this comes after he pretty much forced Robert Kraft to get rid of Garoppolo. So the Patriots don't really have a choice unless they want to sign someone else, but or draft someone. But I really think Tom Brady kind of backed them into a corner where they pretty much have to. They don't have to, but they'd be kind of at a loss without him. And Brady doesn't want to leave. Like I keep hearing people say, "Oh, he's going to the Chargers." He doesn't want to go to a stadium where no fans are at. I mean, they made that move. It's true. It's true. If you've watched any Charger games, it's really sad. Like over half the fans are for the other team. So when the only home game he'd get is when the Patriots played the Chargers and all his old fans came to watch him in L.A. I don't see him going there. I just see him staying.
I could see Bill Belichick not wanting him back, drafting some random quarterback from like 3rd to 6th round, starting him every game, and going like 11-5 or 12-4.
Matt Castle all over again.
And just be like, no, we don't need Tom Brady. This is because it's Belichick's system. I'm not saying Brady's a system quarterback. Brady's definitely the greatest quarterback of all time. Don't get me wrong, but Belichick does not like keeping players longer than they need to be there. A player gets too old in his eyes, and they're gone. It doesn't matter who it has been, unless you're Tom Brady. He will replace anyone. I think it'd be really funny to see him just straight up replace Tom Brady once and completely go, this is my system, my team, this is the way I do things, and I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point and a perfect example of that. It's Malcolm Butler, that's his name, right? The one who had the game-ending interception, one of the top Super Bowl highlights of all time to clinch the Super Bowl against Seattle, played 97% of the snaps in that season. Was it 2017 when the Eagles and Patriots played? Played every playoff game, benches him in the Super Bowl, backup gets eaten up. That's a perfect example of how, like, it doesn't matter what you do for the team. Belichick's going to sit you if he wants to sit you, but it's Robert Kraft that's doing the GM moves. Well, I guess the GM, but it's really Robert Kraft who I believe he kind of has a Jerry Jones kind of hold over that team.
Yeah.
So I think it's more up to Robert Kraft if Brady stays than Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I think Robert Kraft is almost at the point where he's just going to give Tom Brady a blank check and go, whatever you want.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. But that concludes our free agent talk. But stick around because we still have a lot to discuss about Rob Manfred's new proposed MLB playoff format. And we are back for our final segment to talk about the new proposed changes to the MLB Playoffs. Just a quick rundown of some of the changes include an extended pool to 4 wild cards, where the top teams in each league get a first-round bye, and then the remaining best record in the division gets to choose who they want to play, and then it moves down kind of like that, like you're almost like backyard football, choosing which team you want to play on some selection show. So just give a better example. Let's say you have the top 7 teams. First team gets a bye. Second team chooses their team. Third team chooses another team that hasn't been picked. Fourth, fifth, and so on. So, Marcus, very strange. A lot of people have some issues with it, but I heard there's something you actually like about this one.
I think it's a good start. I think more teams in the playoffs will help some teams try to be more competitive. I think more people would be looking to win now, knowing they could get in. And I mean, anytime you get to the playoffs in really any sport, you never know what's going to happen. A 7 seed could get in and win it all because the playoffs are crazy. Postseason baseball is crazy. Wild things happen. I think a team could do it, and I think it'd be exciting to see more teams in the playoffs. I don't know if this is the best format to do it, but I think it's a good step in trying to get more people excited for the playoffs. It does have some downfalls, but I think it's a good start.
Well, I think it's a bad start, if I'm being honest. I do agree that I think it could be cool to have more teams in the playoffs. You brought the point up earlier. Mike Trout could get in the playoffs. I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. I don't want to see a selection show where teams pick what teams they want to play. And like that sounds like there's tons of possibility for things getting rigged and that sort of stuff. And I also hate that they're 3-game series, and I know right now the wild card is a 1-game series. I still didn't really like that, if I'm being honest. I like it's a super intense game. It's fun TV. Like I think for the ratings it was probably good, but I really don't like how a top team can have their 162-game season end in 1 game. But I really don't like that the team second in a league, American or National League, can only gets a 3-game series where they can get knocked out by a wild card team after 2 games. I just don't like that. The Yankees last year would have played in a 3-game series. That does not seem right to me. And this whole thing with the selection show, like I like the selection show for the NBA All-Star game because it doesn't mean anything. It's for the NBA All-Stars. It's all fun and stuff. But this is, and I feel like everyone would already know what team they were gonna pick. Like, I don't think anyone would be like, oh, let's, like, with the draft, like, oh, let's throw a curveball and draft this person. Oh, let's throw a curveball and choose the best team left to pick. That would be super crazy for TV. Like, that's not going to happen. And I don't know. I just really, really don't like it. But I see your point, extended playoffs. I just think there's another first step that could be taken towards that.
No, I definitely agree. Another issue with it is the team that gets the bye. A lot of sports getting that bye seems like a great idea. It seems very helpful. But baseball is such a routine, and these players are in such a routine after 162 games. They'd get 10 days off before they'd have to play. So theoretically, you could get your rotation figured out, but at the same time, these pitchers would have 2 weeks off compared to the 4 days they're used to. I think it could lead. I think more players could get hurt with that kind of system. I think they'd come back in a little more sloppy, which is definitely what you don't want in the second round of the playoffs from your best team in the playoffs with the 1 seed. So I think it'd cause a lot of issues. But I think the selection, I agree you didn't think there'd be curveballs, but think about some of the in-season matchups that these teams have. Some teams do better against other teams. So
That's
the
true.
2 seed could pick the 4 seed because they killed them all season, while the 7 seed killed the 2 seed all season. So I think it'd be more interesting to see like the theoretics behind why they selected who they did. But I agree, it's probably not the greatest system. And it's not like baseball has a ton of fun personalities that the everyday people know. Like everyone knows who LeBron James is.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows your Tom Brady's and your greats of football. Not very many people know that many baseball players. So the selection show would just be a bunch of people no one's really heard of. making picks on other players no one's really heard of, which wouldn't help gain the interest that the MLB thinks it will.
All right, I'm about to answer both your points. Extended playoffs and no buys so they don't get hurt. I'm about to fix it, okay?
Okay.
Do the exact same thing the NBA does. 8 playoff teams, 1 seed plays 8 seed, 2, 7, and so on. 8 teams play, Mike Trout gets in the playoffs. 8 seeds, or 1 seeds don't have that bye, so they stay in that routine. And I honestly feel like there will be more 8 seed to 1 seed upsets than there are in the NBA. And I believe the NHL uses that format too. And it's very interesting. I don't know if any hockey fans out there, NHL playoffs are insane. They're crazy. And 1 seed and 8 seed upsets. One of that happened last year. Tampa Bay Lightning had, I think they tied or surpassed the most points by any team ever. Got knocked out in the first round by the 8 seeded Blue Jackets. And so that could be, I think they should just, I honestly think all teams should adopt it. Maybe not the NFL. The NFL, their playoff system works pretty well. The bye really makes a difference in football because people get banged up and stuff. But these major leaguers play 162 games a year. They're used to playing every other day. So I don't know why baseball. I guess it's just always been that way. But if you're gonna have a wild card game now where a team can end their season in 1 game, I don't know why you just don't expand it and have them play out either 5-game or 7-game series in the first round and then move on from there. Makes a lot of sense to me. You can still call it the divisional round because I know that's a big thing, getting the second round. Like, you can still call it the divisional round even if it's 2 non-division winners. Just call the round that. Keep the tradition, which this would kill anyways. It would kill the division round tradition, which has always been a huge thing in baseball. So there we go. I fixed it. You're welcome, Manfred.
I agree. The only reason why I really like this new proposal to begin with is baseball is definitely the sport right now that is the most stuck in its way. And
Very
it
true,
has been
very
the
true.
sport that's been the most stuck in its way for the past century, basically. Baseball found a system they really liked, and they're like, this is what we're doing. We're never changing. This at least is a change. It's showing they're trying to grow and be a little bit different than what they have been. And I think that's a good sign for the sport in general. And that was the reason why I liked it, was because it's them trying to do new stuff, which, while all new ideas aren't great, at least they're pushing forward with something.
Well, the issue is I think it really destroyed Rob Manfred's credibility with these new ideas. Trevor Bauer has been teeing off. If you just look up those videos on Twitter or YouTube, and everyone has just been obliterating this idea, saying it's the worst thing ever. So I think he could propose. He could say, let's give everybody in the U.S. a puppy. And they'd be like, what are you saying? That's terrible. I think it pretty much ruined anything, any chance for him to get people behind just because this was so far out there and it got a terrible response. But with that, we will conclude this episode of Tailgaters. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at 23MUTV Sports and Instagram at MUTV23. Thanks. Have a good night.